When we were young, most of the media we consumed was good versus evil, the light versus the dark. But as we grow older, the media that we consume now includes figures like the Joker, Tyler Durden, or any character Ryan Gosling has recently played, which are who men look up to today. And these films show us that the world is not so black and white. The symbol of yin and yang is often misinterpreted as good versus evil. Instead, it's a symbol of unity. And although light and dark are opposites, there is a piece of each in one another. Everyone, including you, has a darker side. Carl Jung famously coined this as the shadow self. The shadow self refers to parts of your personality, emotions, and thoughts that you don't want to accept into your persona, which is why literally me characters are so popular. They are men, broken by the society around them, either indulging in their shadow self or using it for the better. We like to live vicariously through these characters, empathizing with them, and then they become. To understand how you can use literally me characters to better yourself, you must first look past your persona and into your shadow self. The shadow is often seen as bad, things that you shouldn't accept about yourself, but this isn't inherently true, unless you're a serial killer. By looking inward to your shadow, you'll find things that you'll need to accept about yourself in order to grow. These things don't have to be dark either. They can be parts of your personality that others would find cringe. It can be emotions such as sadness, jealousy, or anger, which we don't want to show. Or it can be things as simple as thoughts or memories. This way, by accepting your shadow self, you become whole, balanced, and you can then start to look at all of these characters in a different way. And instead of living vicariously through them, you can start to dissect and implement their objectively best traits. Please don't fucking murder anyone. And use them to improve yourself and ultimately live a more fulfilling life. As Carl Jung said, I'd rather be whole than good. Being whole is what yin and yang represents. But I believe that being whole allows you to be good. And allowing your shadow self to accumulate inside of you will only make the monster inside stronger. Which is why men like Walter White, Joker, and Anakin all lose themselves to the darker side of their personality and shift the balance into the dark. A trait that these characters all commonly share is that they all walk their own path. And as the shadow side of ourselves hold both the animalistic and creative drives in our life, embracing this means we can move in our own way, doing what you want to do instead of conforming to the ideal version of you in the minds of the people closest to you. Walking your own path gives you purpose, and without purpose, you can't be a man. Whenever you wake up without a purpose, those days blend into one another, and it's incredibly easy to be in a depressive state. The narrator from Fight Club and Walter White are both characters that went from being purposeless men who allowed themselves to be treated like shit to men who walk their own path. The narrator is an insomniac who works a job he hates, spends all his money on IKEA furniture, and can't sleep without going to therapy sessions so he can cry. Without knowing why, he transforms himself into someone who lives on the fringes of society by subconsciously creating an alter ego, Tyler Durden. Tyler looks the way he wishes he could look and acts the way he wishes he could act. He is the person he wants to be.
Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need.
This alter ego turns from creating a simple fight club to embrace the masculinity inside these men that is dying inside into a revolution, and they blow up the banks of America to reset society. And Walter White is a father who was cut out of a startup company by his ex and his best friend, which went on to make billions of dollars. He's disrespected by his students, his boss at his second job,
Wipe down this!
and even his family.
You're a pussy.
And on top of that, he's diagnosed with cancer.
Yes. Lung cancer. Inoperable.
So to leave his family with something, he decides to start cooking meth and becomes the most successful drug kingpin in North America, killing countless people along the way and ultimately destroying the family he fought so hard for. But because these men, along with most of the literally me characters, end up not wanting to accept their shadow self, they become monstrous, violent, and lose themselves in the process and ultimately shift the balance into the dark. Characters like Zuko and Batman, however, decide that accepting their shadow self is the only way they can become whole, and use it to improve their lives too. Bruce Wayne has everything he could ever want. He's a billionaire, he can get any women he wants, and he can travel wherever he wants to, besides this. Yet he chooses to better himself every day towards his purpose. He embraces his shadow, his pain, and uses it as fuel. He works out every day, eats healthily, and trains his mind. He understands that there is always a way to improve and tries to make the world a better place. And Zuko is a child of abuse, permanently scarred by his father for being weak. Zuko at first walks a path forced upon him and is balanced into the darker side of himself by trying to capture the Avatar to restore his honor. Only when he starts to walk his own path, he then learns how to firebend without the fuel of hatred and embraces the shadow self he desperately tried to ignore, and then saves the world with the person he hated for so long. These two characters decided to embrace their shadow self and better themselves for it. They are balanced. Accepting your darker side isn't as scary as it feels. Use it to fuel the good sides of your life. Use the pain of a breakup in the gym. Use past mistakes you don't want to think about as learning experiences. Use childhood trauma to make sure that you're the parent for your children that you wish you had for yourself. Do things others would see as cringe. Embrace these things that you don't want to accept, or you'll never become whole.